Can you beat Terraria Master Mode if the entire world is a desert? This was a seemingly simple challenge I'd set upon myself a couple weeks ago, but ever since it spiraled into something much more painful than I'd originally expected, with pretty much all of the world completely covered in some type of sand, including all of the surface, underground, hell, and much more. On top of all of this though, the mod I'll be using has also added a few extra features to spice things up, like an unreasonable amount of rolling cacti slowly deteriorating my sanity. No! And a few other things I'll get to later. I put a ton of effort into this video, so hopefully you enjoy it, and without further ado, let's get right into it. As soon as I loaded up my world, I immediately began getting a feel for my surroundings and doing a little bit of basic preparation, chopping down some palm trees, some cacti, then heading off to explore. Alright, so early on, I think I just want to look for as many resources as I can. Ideally, I want to look for something like a magic carpet or like a sandstorm in a bottle, as I know I can find them in the desert and they just make things so much easier. However, these plans were quickly interrupted by some vultures who were not particularly fond of me. Oh, he's after me? Yeah, this is not good. Dying again. No. And again. What? And again. No. Until eventually things were beginning to turn around. Alright, fourth time's the charm. I'm gonna make a run for it and hopefully get somewhere of value. This man it's not in the best spot, I'm not gonna lie. Should be able to get over him though. Ain't no way. We gonna make it? Alright, nice. Finally. Wait. Pyramid? Oh, nice. Eventually though, after a painful amount of deaths, I was lucky enough to run into a pyramid, grabbing not only a ton of resources and gold, but also a sandstorm in a bottle, which is going to be coming in super handy for mobility, bringing me off to a surprisingly lucky start to the challenge. Now that I was finally safe, I decided to quickly head back to the surface, where I collected a ton of cactus and crafted up some cactus armor for a little extra defense, which I soon realized was going to be much more important than I thought, as with the night sky dimming, I'd headed back down to the bottom of the pyramid to begin traversing the underground desert. To be honest, this was probably my least favorite area in the entire game, and thankfully it would be covering pretty much the entirety of the world below the surface. As if things couldn't get any better though, a long list of the game's most pain-inducing enemies had decided to call this place home, including lava, antlion swarmers, and arguably the worst of these, tomb crawlers, who can dig through pretty much any block in the game and kill me infuriatingly quickly. For the time that I was down here though, I wanted to continue grabbing any desert gear I could find in chests, but more importantly, excavate as many fossils as I possibly could, in order to prepare for the bosses. No, Master Mode Underground Desert is not a fun place to be. I mean, we do get a few decent items to make up for it though, so you know, it could be worse. Not by much though. Nice. I'm pretty sure if I counted it right, we need like 600 fossils or something ridiculous like that to craft fossil armor. So, it's a good thing that there's a lot of them. Dune Rider boots, oh. Wait, these are actually going to be really good. That's going to be a speed boost anytime I'm on scene, which is like always nice. Oh no. Still not going to protect me from the tomb crawlers though. During my time down in the mines, I was able to get myself some relatively decent gear, including fossils, heart crystals, and a ton of items that are going to be coming in super handy very soon. After enduring through a few hours of this torment underground though, I'd finally had enough of the constant deaths and was headed back to the surface. By the time I'd arrived up here, there was a pretty strong sandstorm going on, so I decided I may as well try and set up a base. Heading over to a nice little oasis, clearing out the area and trying to come up with a decent design. While I was here, it was also about time I processed all of my raw fossils into sturdy fossils and craft myself a full set of fossil gear. Despite all of this equipment though, I still wanted to get a little bit more gear before I began fighting the bosses. And while I didn't exactly feel like heading back down to the underground, there was one other place I could get items from: fishing, and thankfully I had a perfect lake right below my house. So I hunted down some scorpions for bait, cast out my rod, and began to wait, and wait, and wait. As while there was a small chance of fishing up something good, I had drastically underestimated how lucky I would need to get, and ended up spending a lot longer than I'm willing to admit doing this. Oh, I think we've got a new catch. 6 AM, I think he's been here for like a good half a day now. I mean, he seems pretty happy. I'm just gonna let him be. After a while spent at the oasis, I was able to fish up everything I wanted, including a tsunami in a bottle, the thunder zapper, and a ton of rock lobsters, which I turned into lobster tails for a small but surprisingly important boost to my stats. You see, since the entire world is deserted, the only herb I'll be able to find is the water leaf, meaning that I won't be able to craft pretty much any potions whatsoever, leaving things like lobster tails as my only beacon of hope. Now that I'd gotten everything I needed though, I hopped into my bed, began waiting out the night, and eventually began combat. Alright, here we go. Ow! Yeah, these Dune Rider boots are really good. This makes everything so much easier. Second phase, here we go. Nice, nice. No, not looking good. Nice. Alright, Eater of Worlds now. With the Eye of Cthulhu down, I was now onto my second boss, the Eater of Worlds, and despite building a relatively decent arena, this was actually giving me some trouble with the gear that I had. Okay, so I only have a few Shadow Orbs left, so I need to just not die. I'm not sure if we can craft the worm food without Vile Mushrooms either, so we don't really have many chances left. Plan is, blow up the Shadow Orb, head over to the left, and climb up the snake. Hopefully we don't end up dying like last time. This might be our last try. Nice, nice. Ow. No, no. This is a long fight. There we go. Finally, that is a relief. Now that I had the worm scarf in my hands, I was finally able to leave the corrupted desert, where the game was kind enough to reward me with a goblin army for my hard work, helping me rack up an impressively large collection of tombstones as well as removing all the doors from my household. After I'd eventually finished dealing with them though, I was lucky enough to have a meteorite spawn during the night, which was going to provide me with a huge upgrade to pretty much all of my gear. So I headed off all around the world looking for the crash site until eventually I was able to come across it, slowly but surely taking out all of the meteor heads and harvesting all of the ore, as well as attempting not to die from falling sand. What was that? In order to smelt all this up though, I was going to be needing a furnace, which you may or may not have noticed I still hadn't gotten, as in order to make a furnace you needed stone, which I didn't exactly have access to. Fortunately, there were still a few other ways of smelting things in this game, most notably the Hellforge, which I planned on grabbing. So I spent some time digging out a Hellevator, went to Hell and picked one up. For a while I'd just been taking trips down whenever I wanted to smelt things, but now I had a nightmare pickaxe I could finally mine it, letting me smelt up all of my meteorite into bars and craft up a bunch of useful items. Arguably the most important of these being the space gun, which with the meteorite armor was going to cost absolutely no mana. Now that I'd gotten all of this gear though, I figured I was pretty much ready to begin fighting Skeletron, and was headed off to the dungeon to begin this fight at last. Time to fight Skeletron should be easy enough. I forgot to mention the dungeon in this mod is also yellow, which is interesting. Don't know if I'm really a big fan, but I don't really feel like scraping all the paint off, so it is what it is. Alright, here we go. Nice, nice, going well. Wait, Sandstorm? No, come on. No. Not the greatest timing, might I say. I reckon we can still make it. I reckon. Yeah, it's not good. No. We can still try again. No, no, no. Third time's the charm. Here we go. Nice, nice. It's a shame the sandstone platforms don't count as sand, as I'd be going a lot faster if they were, with the Dune Rider boots. Okay, okay. Both hands down. Only a few more hits. Nice. Immediately after defeating Skeletron, I was off to the dungeon ready to loot some chests. In particular, I was looking out for the Shadow Key, as it was going to let me get some weapon upgrades down in Hell. So I searched through the dungeon, looking around and eventually finding all the items I was going to need. After this, I headed down to Hell where I could begin looking through these shadow chests, finding a ton of restoration potions, money, and most importantly the Flower of Fire, arguably one of the best pre-hard mode magic weapons I could get. Once I'd finished all of this though, I only had a few final steps of preparation for my fight with the Wall of Flesh. Buying up a ton of mana potions, building an unreasonably large hell bridge, and at last chucking the guide Voodoo Doll into the lava. Wall of Flesh at last. Nice, nice. All the enemies around the arena, honestly harder than the wall itself. The antlions knocked me into the wall. That is a shame. This time we got it. Nice. Oh no. Oh no. You gonna make it? Nice, there we go. With the Wall of Flesh down, I was now in hard mode, and unfortunately for me, this was going to lead to a lot of changes in the desert, most of which were not exactly positive. Starting off with my first order of business though, I needed to begin mining out some of the hard mode ores. So I headed over to the Corruption to begin breaking altars, where I had to deal with not only the constant wraiths, but also one of my least favourite enemies in this game, the Desert Spirit, who for some reason had an abnormally high spawn rate, and just refused to let me make any progress whatsoever. However, once I got down to mining the actual ores themselves, things were beginning to get even worse, as I was going to be dealing with a painful amount of new problems, slowly deteriorating my sanity. What was that? Including a ton of different mummies, scorpions, ghouls, and arguably the most annoying of these, whatever this is. No. I thought things were bad before, but this is just not fun. Ow, ow. Nope. Just a little more. Okay, that should be enough. Despite all these new challenges that the underground desert had thrown at me, there were a few select items that were going to be slightly easier to get. Most notably in my case, I was looking to make a set of forbidden armor. A set of armor that boosted both summoner and magic damage, as well as letting you summon up ancient storms. In order to get this though, I was going to be needing not only a ton of the adamant that I'd already mined, but also some forbidden fragments. Something that'll drop from sand elementals which spawn during a sandstorm. So I headed to bed, waited out the night, and began hunting down this mini boss. Not seeing too many spawns, a little bit disappointing. Sandstorm's probably gonna end soon. Oh, I think we found one. Finally. This ended up taking a lot longer than I thought it would, as the sand elementals pretty much just refused to spawn. But eventually I was able to find one, and after some time defeat it. Then repeated this process a few more times until I had all the fragments I was going to need. With this I could now craft up the forbidden armor, however despite this, I was still going to need some weaponry to go alongside it. Specifically, there were 2 weapons I was going to need to get the most I possibly could from my armor's benefits. With the first of these being the Spirit Flame, a magic weapon you could get from killing desert spirits in addition to a little bit of crafting. So I headed off to the corrupted desert, running around and trying to deal with the abnormally high spawn rates of these enemies, up until I ended up getting surprisingly lucky. Why are there so many of these? If they could just come like one at a time, this would be so much easier. Oh wait, never mind, there it is. I mean, I just got down here, but I guess I'll take it. In addition to the Spirit Flame, I was also looking to get some form of summoner weapon, as these would receive a pretty significant boost from my armor. So I decided to grab the Sanguine Staff, heading over to the beach, doing a little bit of fishing and using all of my new gear to make quick work of the Dread Nautilus, up until eventually I'd gotten everything I needed. And after a slightly unprepared fight against a random destroyer spawn, I was finally ready to fight the mechanical bosses. Alright, here we go. Mechanical bosses. Nice, nice, nice. Spirit Flame making quick work of the probes, which is good to see. A little more range would be nicer, but you know, doing a decent job. Nice. As expected, the destroyer went down relatively easily as usual, and by this point I was wondering if the rest of the mechs would even be a problem. However, I quickly realized that things were going to be a little harder than I thought. Let's do the twins now. Nice, nice. I don't understand why so many people complain about the twins, like they really aren't that bad, compared to like Skeleton Prime at least. Okay, maybe they are that bad. I'm gonna give it another shot, then I'm done for today. Nice. Nice, nice. Yeah, I don't know about these ancient storms. If I could get a boss in like the perfect spot, it might be good, but even then, it barely deals like any damage. No. Almost there. There we go. Easiest boss in the game. Not even a question. Skeletron Prime time. Ow. No, no, no. What was that? No. We're gonna make it. Alright, this time, surely it's gonna be it. We gotta make it this time. Going well. Nice, nice. Just a few more hits. Nice. Wait. The jungle grows restless. After defeating all 3 of the mechanical bosses, I was finally presented with the long sought after text that the jungle had grown restless. However, there was a problem. There was no jungle in the first place. Well, at least kind of, as while a jungle did technically exist, pretty much every block had been converted to sand, which Plantera bulbs aren't able to spawn on. In order for me to summon Plantera, I was going to need to somehow create my own artificial underground jungle, with a ton of jungle grass and space to fight Plantera. To be honest, this was a pretty significant problem, and for a while I had no idea what to do. Scouring the wiki, searching all across the game, until eventually I came across an idea. Mushroom grass, one of the few blocks in this world that weren't converted into desert. And while this alone wouldn't be able to spawn Plantera bulbs, if I got a hold of a Clantaminator, I would be able to completely convert this biome to jungle grass. So I headed into the mushroom biome and began harvesting up as many mushrooms as I could, chopping down some mushroom trees, harvesting the hanging mushrooms and gathering as much mud as I possibly could. Once I had all the resources I was going to need though, I began looking for a decent place to build my new jungle, eventually settling on this spot near the beach and beginning to dig my way down, trying my best to avoid the swarm of scorpions invading my personal space and slowly but surely hollowing out the area. This is not a fun process. I think I've been going for like, I don't know how long I've been going, just like hammering down each of these walls. There we go. Finally, I think that should be it. Now onto the mushroom seeds. Wait, why are there so many bats? I think we may have accidentally created a bat farm. We have the water candle buff, that's weird. Oh, wait, no, we built this next to the dungeon. Yeah, I should have should have thought about that. After enduring through hours of mining and what felt like an eternity of construction, I'd finally cleared everything out. And because of how many enemies I had to deal with during this process, I actually ended up getting more than enough money to buy the Contaminator. So I headed over to the Steampunker, paid the hefty 2 platinum fee, and began waiting for the mushroom grass to spread. Up until eventually everything was ready and I could finally convert it all into jungle grass. We are officially in the underground jungle. Whether that's a good thing or not, I'm not exactly sure. We now have to deal with all the underground jungle enemies, but we should be able to fight Plantera now. I go out of my way to give this hornet a habitat and he immediately attacks me. This is a downgrade from the desert. With my artificial jungle biome up and ready, I was now almost ready to begin fighting Plantera, gathering up some life crystals and doing a few final touches to the arena until I was finally ready and began looking for a Plantera bulb. Nice, there's a bulb. Hopefully we don't die, I got a pretty good feeling. Would prefer if there weren't any moss hornets during the fight. No. Yeah, I don't know about all this gear, we really haven't upgraded much since the mechs. Nope. Yeah, it's over, that's a shame. This fight, got a good feeling, there's no way we can lose. I was having a think, how could I improve this arena, and I engineered this hole in the ground. Hopefully it works. Yeah, Spucky Ball, look at that, falls right down, gone. No, it still hit me. That was the worst possible dodge I could have done. I couldn't have done that any worse. Nice. I think we should have this fight. No. Yes, nice. Alright, finally, we can get out of here now. As soon as I was done fighting Plantera, I was immediately headed right out of the jungle with no plans of returning anytime soon. As soon as I arrived home though, I was greeted by a pirate invasion living within my household. So I spent some time trying my best to fend them off, dealing with each and every pirate, fighting off the Flying Dutchman and slowly watching the population of NPCs get smaller and smaller. Eventually though, I was lucky enough to get some surprisingly useful drops, including a ton of items, some money, but most importantly the desert key, a 1 in 2,500 drop from any enemy in the desert. This was huge, and immediately after I'd realized I'd gotten this, I was headed off to the dungeon, looking around until eventually I'd found the desert chest and gotten a hold of the Desert Tiger's staff, arguably if not the best weapon I could have at this point, and a much needed upgrade from my previous weapons. Now that I had this weapon though, I was going to need some armor to match it. So I summoned up a pumpkin moon, gathered up as much spooky wood as I could, and eventually crafted myself a full set of spooky armor. And now with all of these new upgrades, I figured I was pretty much ready to begin fighting Golem, and was headed over to the Lizard Temple. As you can probably imagine, this was located in what used to be the jungle. And while for the most part, this place was almost entirely transformed into a desert, I was eventually able to find the temple. Here we are. Temple's looking a little more green than usual. I think Golem might have had a couple refurbishments to the temple. It's looking mostly the same elsewhere though. The Golem room's a little bit smaller than I hoped, but there's not really much we can do. Alright, time to fight Golem. Nice. Okay. Damage isn't too bad. Oh no. What? I do not remember Golem's lasers being this fast. While the damage I was dealing against Golem was pretty good, I was also taking a massive amount of hits myself, with the spooky armor barely providing me with 30 defense, but I kept on trying until eventually I got into a pretty promising attempt. Nice. As long as we don't get hit, we should be good. Easier said than done though. We're gonna make it? The laser! Oh, I was so close. Surely this is it. Nice. Almost there. Nice. Finally. With Golem down, I was now entering the final stages of the endgame, but before I continued any further, I decided to take the time to celebrate this victory by taking the Lizard Altar back home, where I could slowly but surely compensate for all the pain Golem had inflicted on me. Once I felt I was done with him though, I did a few final reforges on all of my accessories and headed off to the Cultist, where after a little bit of trouble and a few close calls, things were eventually beginning to turn around. Nice. Do we have it? Oof, okay. Nice. After this, however, things were going to be getting a lot harder, as I was now onto the pillars and for the most part, my Desert Tiger just wasn't cutting it for crowd control. No. I'm surprised NPCs keep moving in, considering how low the life expectancy seems to be. Emma the nurse was slain. Didn't she move here like 4 or 5 minutes ago? The Shaun the Arm Stealer was slain. I don't think we have many left. As usual, I struggled my fair share on the Solar Pillar, and likewise for the rest of it. The very worst of these honestly being the Nebula Pillar, where even after upgrading to the Stardust Dragon Staff, I died a lot more than I'm willing to admit. But eventually, after everything was over, I was finally onto the Moon Lord, dying over and over again to little to no success, up until one day where I wanted to give it a few final tries. With no potions, barely any defense, a deserted world, and an unreasonable amount of pent-up anger from all the antlines I'd suffered from. This is probably the worst timing that I could get a sandstorm. Alright, let's go. Nice. We haven't taken any damage so far, which is good to see. Alright, never mind. Shouldn't have spoiled the moment, that is a shame. Oh no. No. What? That was a good 200 damage right there. I cannot be taking this much damage. If I didn't have a heal there, I'd be done. Ow. Is it? Nice. Finally. Can you beat Terraria on an entirely desert world? Yes. Yes, you can. If you made it this far, thank you so much for watching. I put a ton of effort into this video, so I'd really appreciate a subscription. It costs nothing, and you can always unsubscribe. Goodbye.